I was thinking I changed my password for my county password yesterday, forgetting that means I also have to change it on all my devices. So, and today my iPad won't let me change my password, so I got to go back in and see an IT person or something. But anyway, it's a pain in the butt.
Well, I'm hoping if we hang on for another minute or so that Commissioner Rogers will join us.
Yeah.
And hopefully someone from our legal team.
I will need to go remote at 8:20 to make my 8:30. Okay.
Well, I don't see Commissioner Rogers yet, and I don't want to delay us, so I'll gavel us in for our work session of Thursday, June 17th. This is Chair Catherine Harrington. I am joined with Commissioners Jerry Willey and Pam Treese. Commissioner Nafisa Fai is excused as she is representing us at the JPACT meeting right now. And we're hoping Commissioner Rogers will be joining us soon. So I'll give an overview. This is a special meeting to gain your input regarding a action being taken by the Metro Council, which affects us because it is related to our partnership in the supportive housing services domain. As you know, the voters approved the supportive housing services measure that I keep referring to as SHS in May of 2020. And this enables the 3 counties along with the city of Portland to put together plans and services that will, and to implement said items in order to end chronic homelessness and help those that are at risk of imminently becoming houseless, what we often refer to as functional zero. On Tuesday, June 8th, for the Metro Council work session, it became very clear that through their budget process, they were working on Metro Council budget notes to adopt as part of finalizing their budget. And one of those budget notes, which is a relatively new instrument for them, affected this partnership in the supportive housing services domain. So it's been a bit of a wild ride over the last week plus a couple of days. A lot of communication has been going on. So there have been significant changes since that budget note of June 8th. Some of the qualities that were detrimental in that particular budget note is, first and foremost, it was directing another government agency. It was redirecting voter-approved funds. It was changing the adopted and well-crafted strategy of the SHS measure of focusing on housing first and shifting to shelter first. And also concerning is, as a local government, they were legislating through budget. And we all know that is just not the way things work in local government. Certainly not a best practice. A lot of communication has been going on. So we've seen a lot of improvement, and the Metro Council deserves credit for that in hearing the various voices. It's very clear to me through all of these conversations and their willingness to recraft the language that they need information, and the Metro Council deserves to have such information. There is certainly a lot of information available via the measure itself, and there was a lot of analysis and study of national best practices, research done nationally and locally that informed the crafting of the measure, as well as the 4 adopted Metro Council adopted local implementation plans. This is a very unique partnership that we have of Metro, the 3 counties, and the city of Portland. Good morning, Commissioner Rogers. Thank you for joining us. I am merely at the point of giving an overview as to how we find ourselves here today. Oh, I can't hear your audio.
Oh, I just said after 4 tries, it worked. I got through. The gods are not kind to me this morning.
I'm sorry. That can be very, very frustrating. I had that experience last Friday, and I nearly broke my cell phone out of frustration. But thank you for joining us this morning. So what we have now is new language from the Metro Council, as well as the form of the language is expected to change from a proposed budget note to a resolution. And also through this communication process, the 3 counties remain committed to this work and also to this partnership. What I have submitted for your consideration is a memo that lays out to the Metro Council that we have been building the program and doing this work. Certainly, as you all well know, during the course of a pandemic where we have increased our services for helping our houseless community members, and that work will continue. We are a very committed public agency. We also, in this memo on the first page towards the bottom, are asking the council to use the tools that are already in place. Now, I have really come to appreciate that here we are in 2021. We've all been working virtually. We have 1 new member on our commission, right? They have 2 new counselors on their council. And like us, they had 3 new members start in 2019 out of their 7. So a lot of new relationships. So moving on to the second page, much of this is just trying to reinforce that there is information and process outlined and that we are already practicing. It moves to the first underlined section, and Commissioner Treese, thank you for helping me with the wording and grammar here. We merely ask that the council understand, we'll strike the word "to," and use the tools already negotiated and agreed upon by all the partners to ensure that you're getting the information you need on the county local implementation plans and the partnerships between counties and Metro that will be needed to successfully implement this regional program. It's a big program, right? Look at all the time and energy that we have spent on not only the specifics of the supportive housing services local implementation plan, but all of our responses to servicing the needs of our community members. Next major message, let's trust the voters. The voters have chosen to invest in this program, and an awful lot of crafting was done with community feedback in putting that measure together. Also, Metro has a community built supportive housing services oversight committee, and they serve a key role. So, sorry if I'm talking too long here. I wanted to give you the opportunity of having this memo last night to hopefully read before first light this morning. It's before 9 o'clock. I'm not usually this verbal this early in the day. So I'm here to ask for your support of this letter. Short of that, I know I will be signing on to this letter. So let me stop there, see if you have any questions or comments. Go ahead, Commissioner Treese.
I am going to sign on to the letter, and I think I thought that the fact that the letter emphasizes we appreciate the interchange and the movement forward at Metro. That was important to me to recognize that they have listened and they've changed a substantial actually amount of the issue. So I was pleased about that, and I think just the last piece. The piece about the COO is important, and I'm happy to sign on.
I guess I'm curious. I've read the letter and I will sign on as well. So I appreciate the work that you've done on this, Catherine. So, but I'm curious as to what was the intent. I mean, I don't. Did they not like our implementation plans, or did they not like the IGA?
Oh, to the contrary, Councilor Nolan, who is the chief sponsor of this budget note, was very complimentary to the Washington County SHS local implementation plan when it went before the council. And in my multiple conversations with her during this time frame of this budget note, she was very complimentary to our agency, to all of you in this work. As we've seen in our own community, the needs of our community, we have increased houselessness. And her district is primarily in Portland, and it's just at an incredible volume. She's very concerned about what will happen to our houseless friends with the upcoming winter season. And she was really testing the boundaries to see, could some of those resources be shifted to increase the level, well, what my words, increase the level of support in order to essentially get people off the streets. The fact of the matter is the magnitude that we're already taking on does respond to those needs, but we also know she was suggesting was increasing investments in temporary shelter. Well, the reason why the measure focuses on housing first is it's been proven over and over and over again, that is just money that you keep pouring into the process and keep reinvesting. And so that's why the SHS measure is a housing first model. So I hope I'm answering your question succinctly enough.
Actually, yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, you did a good job there. I have read the information. Like I said, I couldn't get to it till this morning, but I have read the information and I agree with the letter. So I'm willing to sign on there. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Commissioner, and thank you for being a morning person.
One thing I'd like to add, Chair, to your comments is yesterday, or not yesterday, it was Tuesday when we were discussing this, you mentioned that the budget note process is a process that is used at the state legislature. So to Councilperson Nolan's credit, that's a process she was familiar with. And that isn't in fact what happens at the local government level. So that's another piece I just think I'd like to publicly recognize. So,
yeah, thank you. Commissioner Rogers, what do you think?
Well, I appreciate that you're teasing out some intricacies. I keep going back to their resolution and looking in that bullet too about that they want some performance analysis and gap assessments. And I think that your letter, we all have different styles. That's the way people write things. I understand. It's conciliatory, yet direct. You're saying you guys are doing a great job and we understand you have the primary oversight, but I'm not certain that we've made the case, honestly, as to what we're asking them to do. And to me, it's talked about in general in terms of we understand that that there's coordination, and we understand that there's tri-county coordination. But to me, I would have probably, I have no problem signing, but I probably would have been a little stronger in saying that any sort of oversight that has performance analysis should be agreed upon or coordinated with the 3 counties. This shouldn't be a singular issue. And I know that's what's in your head, because I can tell by the way they're reading. It's just that you have to really kind of dig it out there a little bit to figure it out. So I can see with their volumes of work now, like ours, they would read this and say, we're talking to you, we don't get what your problem is. Maybe you're being a little paranoid about us. And I don't think that's the point. The point is that it is a coordinated effort to determine performance analysis and benchmarks and establish. If that's where you're at, then that's where I'm exactly at. But I don't know that we're saying it as that way, but I might be wrong. I didn't write it. You spent the time.
You are right that there's the practicing of a bit of nuance here. There are various tools and techniques through this, the implementation of this measure. There are the local implementation plans. Well, there's the measure itself, right? And it lays out many different ingredients. We've been focusing on the largest one, primarily the local implementation plans, but our staff has been very busy with their very small staff on the tri-county planning advisory aspect of this. And that is a unique body as well. This is where we're trying to make sure that we have records at the regional level. So no matter where someone is, we're able to know what kind of services they've been getting and leverage off of that, as well as how do we make sure at that regional level that as our teams are already pretty interwoven for success of this measure, that we're able to say not only that each of the counties and the city of Portland are successful in their parts, but as a whole, we are successful. There is a lot still being defined and enumerated with regard to that tri-county planning body. Additionally, also in the works are the intergovernmental agreements. So I am trying to make sure they don't feel like I've just whacked them up the side of the head and say, what part of this do you not understand? Because after all, there are at least 2 members who were not counselors starting at the end of 2019 through all the activity of the first part of 2020. So, and then of course, COVID, you know, you all can remind me from time to time when I lose sight of, gee, what's happened? You know, just say COVID, Catherine. It's like, oh yeah, right. So, so that's where the ask comes in. Sure, I could have proposed, you know, strike that or please change the wording on that. But it's very clear to me through multiple conversations or through conversations with multiple counselors that they do need time and support from their staff and the opportunity to better understand the measure and all these different pieces. So thank you for being willing to accept this nuanced approach. It's acceptable, sufficient?
Yeah, no, it's fine. What I would just add a comment, and it's directly to you, and that is you've had a role at Metro, and I was there before there was a Metro, and it was a Craig, and I've always thought they were a very, very useful organization. But there are times, much like states have times, where they have things that they do, and the federal government wants to somehow dictate them. And I've always felt that Metro is a facilitator. They take on jobs that nobody else wants to take on. And so we need to support them in that activity. At the same time, there has to be some clear understanding that local governments have a succinct and clear role in implementing. I'm gathering, you're not saying this, but I'm gathering that you've picked up one of those times where they're saying, well, but we're in charge. And you say, well, not so much. I mean, you're in charge of getting out the measure, you're in charge of setting the rules. We're in charge of implementing the rules.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't know that was clear in there. Again, I'll sign it because I didn't write it, but I think there's going to be some of them who are going to like and say, they're overreacting. So be prepared. But I think you're right.
Thank you. So we have just one change, and that is removing that extraneous word "to," as mentioned in the first underlined section on page 2. So what I'm hearing is that the 4 of you are perfectly willing to sign. Well, Commissioner Willie had to drop off. So the 4 have weighed in, and I will be following up with Commissioner Fye. So we'll get the letter updated. Hello there, Commissioner Willie.
Hi, I'm just I'm traveling right now, but I'm supportive. So you've got that. So we're good.
Yep. So I will make the appropriate changes, get help here in the office for your digital signatures, and get the letter to Metro and testify before them this afternoon to that effect. Okay. Great. Does anyone have anything else for this meeting of Thursday, June 17th, 2021? Nope. Terrific. Then we shall adjourn. Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate your joining us today. Have a great day. Thank you. Bye, Alan. Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome.